pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
24/7 people that are out in the heat, maintaining buildings and roads and inmates and such, and we just ask you to keep our workers safe. Be with us in these trying times across the globe, and we just ask that you would give us some guidance as we make decisions that affect the county. In your holy and precious name we pray, amen.
Amen.
All right, so we will open the meeting, and you all have been distributed the packet with the minutes from the previous meeting. Any comments, discussion on that?
Mr. President, I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Motion's been properly made by Councilman Faulkner and seconded by Councilwoman Lake for the approval of the minutes from May 27th, 2025. All those in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is additional appropriations, ordinance 2025 HCCO-24. Jessica, you're up.
Whereas it has been determined that it's now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the 2025 annual budget, now therefore be it ordained by the County Council of Howard County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. County General Fund, Prosecutor, Deputy Prosecutor, $580,740. Deputy Prosecutor Part-Time, $169,275. Investigator, $160,755. Criminal Enforcement Clerk, $373,689. FICA, $98,261. PERF, $182,393. Unified Courts, Office Supplies, $515. Education Materials, $1,021. Incentives, $1,500. Graduation Supplies, $3,892. Prevention and Education, $2,000. Drug Screens, $5,000. Family and Pro Social Events, $2,095. Office Equipment, $3,000. Total County General Fund, $1,584,136. Lit Special Purpose Fund, FICA, $191.25. Employee Service Bonus, $2,500. Total Lit Special Purpose Fund, $2,691.25. MVH Restricted Fund, Bituminous, $1,165,941.83. Total MVH Restricted Fund, $1,165,941.83. Misdemeanor Fund, Vehicles Sheriff, $70,000. Total Misdemeanor Fund, $70,000. Statewide 911 Fund, Communications, $200,000. Total statewide 911 Fund, $200,000. Total additional appropriations for all funds, $3,022,769.08.
All right, thank you very much. First up, we have Prosecutor Mark McCann. The floor is yours, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First, you ever walk into a room, feel like everybody's talking about you? That kind of happened to me today.
It's a good feeling.
I think it was true, maybe. As stated in the Howard County Prosecutor's Office requests for an additional appropriation out of General Account 1000.0009, as Jessica stated, kind of generally our request, but to define that a little bit more, 6 full-time deputy prosecutors, 3 part-time deputy prosecutors, 3 full-time full-time investigators, 9 full-time criminal enforcement clerks. The prosecutor's office has distributed a letter that was submitted to PAC. I believe I've shared it with council members, outlining the reasons for that request. To summarize without, going back through this, essentially it's to create parity between the prosecutor's office, public defender's office. There was a study in 2019 that used caseload studies and the case methodology used by the public defender's office, and that showed that our county was 23.9 or 23.3, I'm sorry, 23.8 full-time deputies short. Apologize. We should have 23.8 full-time deputies. We have 11. So we were approximately 10 short based on 2 different methodologies in calculating that. And it has impacted our ability to prosecute cases in a timely and efficient manner. And I don't want the public to think that, we've changed policies. There are some counties in Indiana who don't prosecute certain crimes because of a political agenda or personal agenda. That is not this county. We are not relaxing our standards by any means. If you steal $5, it's still theft. If you possess marijuana in Howard County, it's still a crime. And we still enforce those every day, and we'll continue to. I will say the only thing is the real impact has impacted our efficiency to a point where there's a little bit of, just some of the miscellaneous items are not getting the attention they deserve in a timely manner. Let me say that. Not impacted anything we've done trial-wise. We've fully supported have been fully staffed and supported by law enforcement in the cases that we have tried, some unsuccessfully here recently, but the lack of staffing's not impacted our ability to prosecute major crimes and other crimes in this county. Some of this, what has been publicized in recent unsuccessful prosecutions relate to cold cases that would have never been prosecuted in the beginning. There's been 3 of them, and those are, they call them cold cases for a reason. They're difficult cases, and not only does the defendant deserve justice, but so does the victim's family, and they have their day in court, and we've tried to give them that day, and we have. So I just want to get that made clear that it's not impacting the cases we prosecute, does not impact my policy in our office as to what not to prosecute or what to prosecute by saying we don't have enough time or personnel to do this. That has not changed, and if it's a crime, it's a crime. Took an oath to enforce the laws of the state of Indiana, and I have and intend to continue to uphold that oath, and would ask the council's consideration in additional staffing. Whatever happens here tonight, this afternoon, would be greatly appreciated and helpful, obviously, but also, we are going through budget proceedings now. You all know that, and have PAC committee meeting, I think, tomorrow for the prosecutor, and then, I will make a similar request that I've made before this council and the PAC committee to request what I think is what the old cliche, apples to apples with the public defender's office. I talked to several of you individually. If you awarded me 6 full-time deputy prosecutors, 3 part-time deputy prosecutors, as I stand here before you, I couldn't fill them. There is the market out there is difficult. I think getting a little better, but it is, it'd be great. Let me try, but to find qualified applicants with experience and someone I would consider hiring, they're few and far between. So,
Ready for questions?
sure.
So let's go to your last point about the time frame for filling, and let's talk specifically about the part-time deputy prosecutors. What's your expectation with regards to filling them with appropriately skilled people that could fill those jobs? And are there people that you have kind of in your mind lined up that, hey, this would be a great candidate if we had this slot approved? Or is it something that, man, we got to start from day one of recruiting to get our name out there and attract some people to a job that maybe some people would say, you know what, part-time, I'm not interested in that and with my business. Could you speak to what you think would be timing with regards to filling, say, both the part-time prosecutors and possibly the investigator and also the clerk? Those three categories, not the full-time one.
Well, the part-time seems to be more attractive to more experienced attorneys in a way. And it's a very fair. I think $50,000 part-time benefits, can still, do private practice that does not conflict with being a prosecutor. And that gives you some flexibility, gives the individual flexibility. It's more attractive. The full-time, I just hired a full-time to replace retiring deputy prosecutor Michael Crevice, who'd been with us for 33 years. I brought him with me when I got out of law school, much older. So he's retiring Monday, and I have filled that position with a full-time person. So I got lucky there, but that came through recommendations from my current staff. And that's kind of where the word gets out. It's not the advertising. It's not, that seems to not work. It's just, hey, are you interested in, like, at a point where you want to be semi-retired, you can still dip your toe in the water, but and make a decent amount and not, it's not 60 hours a week. So
timing wise.
And that would be, I've already advertised for, I think, 3 part-times and the investigator position and caseworkers. I've got 2 interviews for caseworkers tomorrow or this week. Investigators are not hard to find. There's enough retired law enforcement out there
So
that,
that's typically the
Yeah.
skill set that investigators would be retired law enforcement.
yes.
So
That is
on
a
the
good group to
part-time,
pick from.
on the part-time prosecutors,
Mhm.
what's your expectation? Would you think that, hey, we'd be lucky to get them by September, or we get them, I think you could get them by the end of July, or do you have any expectations with regards to how soon and how many you might get based on what you already know?
I would say if approved, I would have them within 60 days because I would push hard to find those. As far as really getting the word out, I don't have, I can't guarantee any employment right now, so nobody's going to talk to me. So it's my position that the full-time is attractive now because of, I'm sorry, the part-time's attractive now because of the flexibility. Remote work is huge, and we used to hire all local. It was Howard County, got to be part of the community. Now we're such a, we're, 4, 5, we're a region now and not a county, let me say that, and I'm okay with that. So I've got I think there's opportunity, unfortunately, for other counties, but for us, that we would be able to maybe get some interest from other current deputy prosecutors who are trained from other counties. And I'm seeing that from the southern counties, without being specific,
Yeah, sure. And just
and not Tipton.
any expectations with regards to the enforcement clerk? Like,
Yeah.
is that a position that's difficult to fill, easy to fill, be able to find that? Or do you take somebody from another county position that, and then that opens up a hole in another county position? Or what's your vision on that one?
I try to avoid hiring anyone that's been, has been a county employee, especially from the courthouse. Too much luggage that goes along with that, and, retraining, they have their own way. And that's like that in any business, but someone who's bright, hardworking, common sense, I'd rather start with a clean slate. What we have now in place, especially starting Friday with our software programs, Axon, which is dumping everything into one central location as it relates to documents. The IMPCMS system, which is a prosecutor case management system, it's very user-friendly, and it doesn't, it doesn't take I don't want to say a law grad, because they probably, a lawyer, because they would not understand. I'd much rather have somebody who is a, college graduate or associate degree to do that. And it's easy. It's just what you deal with, whether you have the stomach for it or not. That's the hard part.
If you didn't have any of these filled, would you have the potential to lose people that are currently working in your department? So to say, hey, Mark, as much as we like you, we just are tired of all this heavy work? Or is that not a good way to look at it?
I don't think so. No, I
No.
think the
You wouldn't
ones
have
I'm
anybody
losing
quitting
are
on you.
my age. They've been around for 35 years and they're retiring, which are, much brighter than I am. But those are the ones that are phasing out, and we're replacing them. They're not quitting, moving to another job. They're going to move where their grandkids are, things like that. So I don't had a staff meeting today. Everybody seemed to be content, but what else are they going to tell me? So, but they do a good job. Got a great staff, working relationship, and it's going well with what we have. We could do better, but I don't see anybody leaving. I think like I said, the software has made us more efficient and required less human work than, right, old days with our caseload, we would have 4 or 5 more people to do what they're doing, but now, being more efficient helps.
One more question,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Does your office set the pace for how fast a person that's arrested and in the jail gets to court, or does the judge set that? Which I'm guessing the judge sets it, but I'm not sure about that. And then I could see the defense attorney saying, well, we need a delay, more stuff. Possibly you could say that too, I guess, right? But what sets the tempo for how fast a case gets processed through the court system? Maybe that's
Are
a
you
question.
trying to light the fuse, Frank?
No, sir.
Let me be political.
We do have a judge in the back, so.
Yeah, let me be political here. The judges obviously run their calendar. My personal opinion, hopefully this statement doesn't get me disbarred, but I think there's too much influence maybe by the defense bar. We've started pushing back and, no continuance, or we object, starting to ask for hearings on appointment of public defenders. That's coming up to try to, justify somebody who works at Stellantis getting appointed a public defender. Not often, but it's happened. And so I'm not saying that we do not delay. We try not to because we're on the clock. Criminal Rule 4 gives the defendant certain rights. They can ask for a speedy trial, can be done in, which has to be done 72 days. We have to prosecute their case within 1 year, and otherwise they're dismissed, released. So they have the remedy. So we don't have the ability to kick cases down the road on our motion. I mean, we usually get one motion to continue in a case if the defense does not agree. So we're bringing murder cases to trial within 18 months, 24 months, other than the cold cases. But I mean, from our standpoint, I think the cases move. It's a level 6 cases, 6 felonies that just clog the system. So that's part of this request, that have deputies assigned just to unclog it. Those are ones that tend to hang around for way too long, not get pushed through and resolved, and it just affects everything else.
So the expectation, I think, would be that if you got more staff, some of the staff that you've requested, you have the potential to, I don't want to say actively expedite cases, but you got the potential to move some cases through the system a little sooner, possibly? Is that
We would be
a
more
good expectation?
more efficient in getting these through, because there are cases that are in review. I'm going to stick with level 6s because higher felonies, that's not the case. The misdemeanors run great. I mean, right now, the system getting misdemeanors, Judge Tate's court, magistrate's court, all of that is running the best it has in a long time. It's a level 6 felonies and the upstairs, Circuit Superior 1, that the level 6s, I think, impact in our office can influence that and moving those along by getting, pleas out, pushing them through a little harder. But that's, I hate to say it, they're all victims are all people, but you have murders and whatever. It does get a little more attention. Not to say that we're neglecting the 6s, but they are delayed, and that's a combination of everybody. That's our office, public defenders, defense counsel. Obviously, the judges are perfect. They're doing the best that they can with all this. So I mean that with all sincerity.
Nice cover.
All right, Mark, thank you very much for your wisdom and also for your clarity on some of these questions, which are, frankly, I'm pretty much of a novice on what happens in the courthouse.
Mark, quick question. You used a couple of terms, caseworkers and criminal enforcement clerk. Are you talking about the same thing there?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Mark, if you had to pick, I mean, we've discussed how Senate Bill 1's coming across, and we still are not clear on how it's going to hit us. If you wouldn't need 9 criminal enforcement clerks, or do you need 9 criminal? I mean, I know you've asked for it. What can you get by with? I mean, what can you operate better that would help us with our problems with money? Okay.
Martha, by your question, I'm guessing my $1.284 million additional appropriation isn't going to go through here tonight.
Well, I'm guessing it probably won't, but if it doesn't, we don't want you to go away mad, okay? We want to work with you.
I think I've talked to individual council members, PAC committee, that my primary focus would be the investigators. That helps push the thing along and I don't burden the county or state city with some stuff that we could do internally. Getting videos from I was going to say a VP, are they still around? Speedway. Anyway, and at least 3 part-time deputies would be nice. Could I fill those? Not sure. Then, 1 or 2, at least full-time, part-time investigators. And, 1 or 2 full-time criminal enforcement, and with the flexibility to make, part-time. I don't, I've never asked for more than we need, and this is to make a point that what's being spent on the public defenders, and everybody gives me a hard time. I didn't realize that until actually WRTV, Kara Kinney, when they interviewed me, she'd been working on this story, and I started digging into this, and I was shocked about, 23 public defenders, the limited caseload, and we're getting our rear ends, handed to us because of the, and some of the, I won't get into my opinion on, the language and the matching and all that. That's any of my, it does impact me because I know it affects your all decision monetarily in past practices of every time I ask for an increase, or our office, that public defenders get a increase, and I have been thanked by public defenders for their raise. I can joke around, but that is not funny to me. The good thing is I just get along with everybody and have great patience, so I didn't. And also I'm very sarcastic. So I'm sorry, Martha, but 3, and like I said, I don't know if I can fill them or not, so I would like to try that.
When Frank said the 3 part-time, would it be easier you don't know for sure, but would it be easier to fill the part-time than the full-time so you wouldn't have to be out 60 or 90 days trying to find somebody here between now and the end of the year? Would part-time work better?
Um,
And I've got a question too.
I guess if you did the full, I
Yeah.
guess with approval or maybe not approval, I can break them out and just say, okay, I'm going to turn this full-time job, I'm only going to use half of it this year, and that's going to get me by.
Okay.
And then, the rest goes back to the general fund.
So full-time, is that they don't have their own practice? They work
Right.
in your office all the time? So it's not the number of cases that they have, see, and that's another difference that you have with the public defender as well. Because you carry up.
Are you and Frank colluding with me to get me mad?
No, we're trying to
No,
let you know
that-
we understand.
That's another pet peeve of mine, the fact that the label that is stuck on public defenders is full-time. You
Right,
stick a label on a full-time prosecutor, it's full-time. Statutorily, they can't do anything else. You stick a label on a public defender as full-time with a limited, they increase their cases maybe by 5, so it's an 80 caseload. My full-times have 300, not including modification, PCR, I can go down through the list. But they're limited, whereas there's public defenders who are full-time, have a very lucrative private practices in criminal defense. So that is an issue. And, most of them are good friends of mine. At least they were.
how many
No, they get it. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them. I just don't want, I feel like I'm being punished when I come in and ask for something that, and I don't blame any of you, but you're thinking in the back of your head, boy, if we give him 1 now we got 23 we have to deal with here that we've got to juice them also, and that is absolutely not fair to my people, our office and our people, so.
Just for the record, Martha and I are both glad that you're feeling much better and you
Oh.
look great.
I
Yes,
think my,
we
the
appreciate it.
Almighty and my wife, I say that about died, and then I've been given a second chance, and then my wife had to drive me to all the appointments, and then I cheated death every time I got in the car with her to drive me to an appointment or whatever. I was like, I came this far I couldn't handle driving with her.
So you got
Love her
well.
to death. But
Yeah.
she's great, and yes, thank you. I'm better than ever. I feel wonderful, and
Good.
got the passion again, which may be good or bad for some. So,
How many investigators? Because I don't see a number here, but I.
3.
3.
is the request.
Okay,
Currently have one serving in papers for 4D, so some of the salary comes out of there. And also then, I don't know the percentage, but, so really half in the criminal enforcement part. And 3 is based on the study, that's what is a minimum.
okay.
And that, again, that's a very important one out of all of these. I think that, you know, the recruiting, I can't speak for the sheriff, but I know with the sheriff's office, with the city, you know, their force, you know, they've got some in the academy trying to build that back up, but, you know, and that's always been the public defender and defender's argument is, well, you have this great resource of all the law enforcement in the county and the state that, you know, I don't anymore. I mean, and that's nothing against them. It's just hard out there. And I try to take as much burden off of them as possible, because I don't need, you know, one of their guys or gals on the street to be chasing down some piece of paper for me when just as easy as we can get it. So.
Okay. I just had a couple questions. I apologize for not reaching out to you directly. I was waiting on a PAC recommendation. I don't know if that's been processed yet, but I was trying to wrap my head around the whole process of how we got here. I remember, you know, W2HR and some of these news places, you know, writing these articles, reaching out to us, why haven't we fully funded the prosecutor's office? You know, you referenced that cold case. And I guess my question was, do you think that a shortage caused it to be a cold case, or that the number of anybody prevented that?
Well, that is pending currently, so again, it has been refiled, so I can't comment on the pending case. I can say, generally speaking, that was just no such thing as a perfect storm, but it was a big storm. All at once, all the deputies were, I mean, dedicating all their attention to certain cases, and you know, that doesn't happen. Usually, there's some accommodations made.
Okay, because I'm like trying to build a kind of a narrative of how did we get here? How do we need all of these additional staff and we didn't know about it, you know, a year ago or something? But it does sound like when you do get into situations like you've described where it's a perfect storm, we just don't have the capacity to deal with that. And that would necessitate the need for the additional staff.
In that case, in that specific instance, but that's not happened to me before, and as prosecutor, and however long it's been, 75 years or something like that. That's what it feels like, since 2011.
So you would say that the recommendation of these additional staff is to meet what we had discovered was the recommendation of caseloads for prosecutors, or at least get us a little closer.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, yeah, but kind of a drop in the bucket what I just asked for, but I'm not going to ask for anything more than I need.
Okay.
And, you know, it's a whole different conversation of House Bill 1006. Went through, and we're talking about getting a 50% reimbursement from the state, and, we're all nicey nice with the public defender, we're all even, but I'm thankful they got the bill to raise the speed limit on 465. That was.
We heard that on Saturday.
What's that?
Some of us went to a conference on different legislation that passed, and that was one of the points that they made about that bill. It was raised to 65 miles per hour.
Yeah. I was on there today, and that wasn't even close. But I say that, well, I kind of mean it. I mean, there's, everybody's trying to do their job, but I got my own. I'm getting too old. My filter is getting thinner, and my patience is lacking. But my heart's in it, and my little brain maybe overloads my mouth sometimes. But my mouth overloads my little brain, both ways. Okay, I'm willing to work. Whatever obviously is approved is, very appreciated, and it may not come back to you, ever again. Hopefully we go the other direction as they retire, then I don't need any crimes down and employment rates down and property taxes are down. Personal property taxes are down. Well, those probably are. Any other questions?
Mark, I would love to be able to say that we can fund everything you're asking for, but budgets as well as anybody. That being the case, and listening to everything that you've said and through some of our conversations prior to tonight, I move that we fund 3 part-time deputy prosecutors, 1 full-time investigator, and 1 full-time criminal enforcement clerk. And just to note, that is for this year. This does not have anything to do with the 2026 budget.
I second that.
Okay.
It's not what you asked for, but it's more than what you had.
Maybe all I need, I don't know. I mean, only thing I had was data.
Yeah. Brian, just a point of clarification, so we will need to address the FICA and the PERF on the request down as well.
Yes. That would be adjusted to the number of positions. Okay.
Do you need to make a different motion?
Well, let me just add to that motion then that we adjust FICA and the PERF accordingly, according to the number of employees.
Okay. I have a motion and a second by Brian and Martha on the prosecutor's request. Alan, should we take a vote on that or just?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So all those in favor?
Could you just
Oh,
clarify?
sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Three part-time deputy prosecutors, 1 full-time criminal investigator, and 1 full-time criminal enforcement clerk.
Correct.
That's what we're talking about.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor assign aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mark.
Mark.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
Mark.
you for that, prosecutor. Next up, we have Judge Elkins for the Unified Courts Fund.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening, Judge.
Basically, my request has to do with a request and some items that were tendered last year. There was a $43,000 that was placed into the Unified Courts Fund. The various courts used about half that, and what I did was I went through the unexpended portions of the fees and so forth that were used in 2024. It seems that the two entities within the Unified Courts area that didn't use their money were the juvenile court for circuit court and probation. And they had requested if they could get those monies back so that they could use them this year, they would like to do so. So that's why I requested the additional funds in the way that I did, so that those items could be used by the juvenile court and basically probation. There's some left over for Superior Court too, but that's why I requested.
And I missed, I'm sorry, was this a grant reimbursement or?
No, this was not. What it.
This is just for the Unified Courts?
Yeah, there'd been opioid funds that were available and so forth, and they were originally portioned, and about half of it, a little bit more than half got used,
Okay,
and so it went back into the.
okay.
So you're asking for money back? Reminds me of a Jim Croce song about a man named Slim from South Alabama. He came to get his money back.
Any other questions? Do you have any comments on Prosecutor McCann, or you just want to leave it at?
No, I'd love to dance on this one. No, actually, I agree with the prosecutor in this case. You're asking questions about time periods. I'm at that point where I could tell you that I'm frustrated in different ways, Mr. McCann. When I came into office, the number of defendants that were in the jail were 128. As of this afternoon, the number of defendants sitting in the jail for Superior Court 1 was 41.
So 128 down to 41.
41. So if it costs us $43 a day to send someone outside the county, as of June of 2023, I've saved you $2 million.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's the first part. Second part was the average number of days in Superior Court 1 that somebody was sitting in jail was over 500. On Friday, that number was 53.46.
So down from 500 days to
correct, they're down
53
90%.
days. So.
Okay?
And what sets the pace on that? You?
Well, I'd like to say it was just me. The truth is, I sat down with the public defenders that are in my court, and I sat down with the two prosecutors in my court. And we discussed a lot of stuff when I came in. They have all worked together to get cases through as quick as is humanly possible. Because we were behind. I couldn't even tell you. If the average number of felony cases filed in the court is between 290 and 320 in any given year, we were behind a whole year just on criminal cases, 600 and something. So it takes the work of everything. And I will tell you that I had the hardest time getting below 50 until judges realized we made a mistake. One of the things that we were using the magistrate for is if a felony case, level 6, got filed and you had a petitioner revoked, but they were in different courts, we threw them down to the magistrate, thinking that if you put them together, you're going to get them resolved quicker. That did not happen. So we flipped the script, we put the level 6s back in the courts, left the petitions to revoke with those courts, and what we turned around is we took anybody who violated in-home detention or work release and let the magistrate handle those. The minute it went back to the original courts, Judge Murray's number of persons in jail dropped 10 in 60 days, and the same thing happened in my court.
Are those the only two courts that do level 6, or is there?
No, it's just we had direct numbers that went down. If you want to talk about Superior Court 3, Superior Court 3 has the highest number of, if you just imagine a bell curve, they have the lowest and the highest number of people coming in on any given day because of misdemeanors. So someone may be in jail for a day, that you can pick up 10 people on a weekend because there was one fight at a bar. And, they're in, everybody bonds out, or they get out once they're all sober, and that number goes down quickly. All of the numbers in all of the courts were much higher 30 months ago. Superior Court 2 and Superior Court 4 probably both around 90. There was a time period where Superior Court 4 was at 140. That was a very short period of time. But part of the problem is without question the judges. That's not the fault of the prosecutors. And I don't know if Mr. McCann can remember, but basically all our prosecutors used to be part-time. Okay? One of the reasons we went to full-time is because we couldn't fill people, but if you just take the number, if there are 5 full-time prosecutors, double that number, there would have been 5 more. There would have been 10 part-time prosecutors 12 years ago. So if you give him 3, you're probably 2 down from what he would have had in 2011. But they would have been all part-time. Does that make sense? So when you combine it, it's not like you take 50% of a caseload and 50% of caseload, and you combine it together and you get a full-time prosecutor. What you do is you have a 70% caseload and you get a 70% caseload. You combine them, and what you do is you overwork the prosecutor.
Yeah.
So he's got the right picture. The question is, how do you solve that problem? And we do have an attorney shortage. And I'm hopeful that if you get more part-time prosecutors, that's certainly going to help with the level or load that each prosecutor is carrying. And I'm regretting, even as I stand here right now, I have a jury trial on Friday. It is a level 5, and it is Mick Krebis's last jury trial. And he will not be coming to my court, after that jury trial, and he will not be going up to circuit court. And so it's a double hole. It's not a hole in one court, it's a hole in 2 courts. So how much is that going to slow it down? I don't know, but I have my concerns. But I also have concerns that there's a whole other aspect of this that we don't address, and I don't know how it's going to get addressed. But in probation, they're supposed to be using evidence-based practices, and probation does have an effect on how quickly things go through the courts. People don't see that, but here's a thought process for you. I probably would need to go grab the report, but it frustrates me to no end. It's a general thought process. Anybody who commits a felony, if they've never committed a crime in their life, they commit a felony. 50% of people who commit a felony, if you do nothing with them, will never commit another crime. Okay, you don't have to do anything with them. They did something, they did it wrong, it'll happen one time, you don't even have to put them on probation. They're never going to do it again. The question is, when you arrest somebody the first time, which one are they? And you don't know the answer to that question. Having said that to you, if 40% of the felonies that are filed in our county are first-time offenders, if we don't do anything with 1/2 of those people, we're going to have a 20% success rate on probation. We have a 98% fail rate in Howard County. Did you hear me say that? A 98% fail rate for probation, which means if we got rid of the probation department, we would improve our success rate by 18 points. We're creating criminals through our probation department.
Curious.
I mean, I could spend hours telling you about this, but I'm fighting this, and I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Hate me, like me, I don't care at this point. I know it's wrong, I know why it's wrong, and I know how it's wrong. It took me a hard enough time to get my number down to below 50, trying to figure out how to jump through every hoop. And we aren't going to get there until we realize that some of the things that we're doing are just not right. Especially when we have statistics that show we're creating criminals through our probation department. So we can help the prosecutor, but I don't disagree with where Mr. McCann is at all in the slightest. If you went back 12 years, he would have probably had 5 more prosecutors, but they would all be working part-time. So,
Thank you.
Interesting.
thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for the good / solemn news, so. All right, next up, Sheriff, not Sheriff Asher, Major Cook, Lit Special Purpose Fund.
Well, good afternoon. Sheriff Asher asked me to step in this evening. He's at the National Sheriff's Association Conference somewhere south of here right now, so it might be a little bit warmer. I believe Christina already dropped off the commissary report. I neglected myself and left that behind, and she picked me up, so thank you. We have 3 appropriations. I'm here in front of you before the Lit Special Purpose. Basically, for corrections, we brought on a lateral transfer, so we're requesting that bonus in the FICA. Number 2, the misdemeanor grants, misdemeanor fund. We're in need of a new transport vehicle. I've been searching for about 6 months, got one locked in. We have the funds, just want to appropriate the money to purchase it and then swap the transport security unit from the current van to the new van that we buy that has audio, video, HVAC, and everything equipped. And then number 3 is statewide 911 fund. We had so this is a It's not an annual reoccurring bill, it's a 5-year, so we had a little clerical typo, I believe. This bill's due, so we're actually requesting to appropriate $171,000 to pay off that bill, and then give us a $29,000 cushion for anything else that will probably come up that needs repaired.
Okay. I think I remember discussing that one last year at budget time. I think.
Is miscellaneous fund mainly used for vehicles, or
It
can
can be used, anything jail-related. We have purchased, in 2021, we purchased a van, a transport van from the misdemeanor fund, but anything jail-related.
could be used for like drone technology or anything like that? I didn't just ask that
Fly that
because
thing around through the jail.
Jordan
Sure,
said,
yeah.
but, I mean, like, say one of those things crashes or something inadvertently.
Perhaps.
I mean, it's not restricted, it's for equipment.
There are restrictions, yes. I know, I don't know everything front to back, but I know anything jail-related purchases we can purchase from this grant, or this fund. Grant is a loose term. It's not.
Jail-related, but,
It's not a grant.
so jail-related, but not necessarily
so we
sheriff
purchased-
department-related?
Correct.
So drones might be outside of that, right?
It could definitely be outside of it.
Okay, so,
Once we have a corrections officer, we specify, get the pilot's license, and we can probably purchase one for that corrections officer at that point.
but not from the misdemeanor fund, or from some other fund?
As long as it's correction jail-related.
I was under the impression this was a grant fund, and the county receives, what, $64,000 or $60,000 a year, I think? And it's from the state, and it.
Yes.
Yes,
It
but-
is awarded from the state. I just think the
Right.
grant term is pretty loose in this.
Yeah,
Yes, it's
yeah.
money we receive every year.
I don't know that we make application or not,
Nope.
I know, yeah,
No, we don't apply for it, we just receive it, so,
that's
It
good.
is loose.
yeah, that's why I think the grant term is loose in this.
Yeah,
Can you explain the miscommunication on the communications line item? Why, did we missed it at budget times, what you said, basically? On the 1222 fund?
I think we missed throwing that in for this year's budget by a year, just by
Okay.
talking. So this is a 5-year, and basically it's for our consoles up in dispatch. They recently came in, they upgraded consoles, not entirely, just did some hardware upgrades. They redid all the monitors, correct? Computers, and then some software.
Okay, so the
We
work,
did this
the
5
stuff's
years
already
ago.
installed then,
Yes.
essentially? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, we have a lot of electronics to get rid of now.
Okay. All right.
Is any of that stuff you could sell or not? Is it just obsolete?
It's pretty used and abused, obsolete, yeah. The monitors, I mean, it could be, but whether you get 6 months out of it, I don't know.
Any other questions?
so the money was used specifically for communications, and just like this, the money was used specifically for communications? just
Yeah,
like
I have the
this
bill
line
right
item?
here if you'd like to see it. Is that what you're
No,
talking about,
no,
or?
You can just tell me,
Okay. You want me to go line by line, what it was used for?
No, I just want to
Okay.
make sure that we're paying everything out of the right line item for the audit's sake. And you say yes.
Yes,
I
I
believe
believe we
it.
will.
Okay,
The money's there, we just need to appropriate it in the line item so we can get this bill paid for.
okay.
So essentially, the life cycle is 4 years. That's a recommended time frame for this equipment to be replaced.
It is, but
You don't want it to
unfortunately,
not work, so you just need to make sure that it's, and that's a reasonable standard for what equipment
yeah,
you
if we
have.
get those 5 years without something breaking in the interim, which does, we're still responsible to pay for that as well. This is just our 5-year obligation with J&K that we have.
Okay, thank you.
So if you had a new dispatch center within, say, 4 years, You see, you had one more year. You'd still have to have a period where you have the current dispatch center operating while the other one's coming up and being, if you will, commissioned to go into operation, right?
Correct.
So does that take some management of this 911 fund as you approach whatever time frame there might be when the new dispatch center would come online?
It would. I would imagine at that point in time, that many years down the road, we'll have enough money in the fund to go ahead and purchase new consoles and get that equipped. So we can leave the console. I don't know that we'd want to bring those with us. Maybe we can.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
don't know.
thinking. If you had a new dispatch center, you wouldn't want to junk it up with old consoles, would you?
Not necessarily. But will they change between now and then? I don't know. I mean, I think they're pretty sophisticated. You've been up there, but I imagine they will change.
Yeah,
We're just looking for functional.
okay. That's good. That's a good line.
Okay.
I like it.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Nope. Thank you, Major Cook. All right, we're gonna move on next to Amber Toll for County Highway, and I will make a note that I think there's a BZA meeting here in 30 minutes, so let's try to get this done somewhat so we can
I'm done with my questions.
make room for them. Okay, thank you.
My additional is solely because we have received our community crossings matching grant monies for our bituminous projects resurfacing. So we just need to appropriate that into the proper line bituminous so that we can use it correctly. So
Perfect.
very simple, I think.
Then you'll start patching roads.
Actually, this is for our milling and resurface, which
Oh.
we've actually already started. We started a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so we were milling and paving and trying to repair Alto Road today, so it was very busy.
All right, yeah.
Yes, very busy, so,
Yeah.
yep.
So Alto Road is almost,
We're getting there.
I happen to live out there.
We're getting there. We set our first piece of pipe today, so just in reference, the size of structure that was compromised is 7 foot tall and 12 foot wide. It is an elliptical pipe. It's huge. So it, for that to collapse and have to try to replace that emergently has been a little bit stressful. So yeah, it's a big, big project to try to do without a plan, essentially. So, but yeah, we're getting that done. We set the first piece of pipe literally as I was sitting here. I got a text from the guys that said we first set the first section of pipe. And so we're hoping to get that set by the end of this week. And then we have, patching and repairs and guardrail and all that stuff, so.
Are you taking pictures of that as
I am,
it progresses?
yes,
That'd be
yes.
a good story.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good story. It's a good story. But yeah, it's been challenging, but yeah, it's been good. We've learned a lot, so, yeah. Yep. It's all right.
Any other questions for Amber? All right.
right.
Thank you very much for all your work.
Thanks.
Okay, with that, I think that finishes up additional appropriations. Do we have any comments, questions, concerns, or motions?
So I'll move. We've already handled the prosecutor's request, so the other ones, the lit and the sheriff department and the highway department, I'll move the
Unified Courts.
unified courts, oh yeah, unified courts, that we approve those additional appropriations. So, because we've already done the other ones already.
Okay.
Second.
All right, motion has been made by Councilman Faulkner and seconded by Councilman Alexander to approve the other additionals as presented. All those in favor, assign aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, ordinance passes. Next item on the agenda will be transfers. Madam Auditor.
Resolution number 2025-HCCR-14, transfers. Whereas the county council may approve the transfer of money from one major budget classification to another within a department or office, the transfer does not require the expenditure of more money than the total amount set out in the budget as finally determined, and if the transfer is approved at a regular public meeting and by the proper ordinance. Be it resolved by the County Council of Howard County that it's desired and deemed necessary that the following transfers be made within the accounts of the designated funds as set out below. County General Fund, Coroner, equipment to part-time hourly, 2,000.
All right, David, you're up. Thanks for waiting patiently.
As you know, this is my, first year, and I'm still working on wrapping my arms around the budget. And to my understanding, this is also the first year that the coroner's office has had a line item for a part-time secretary. I was present, and I know a few of you were last year too, at the PAC meeting where that position was established. And I mean, my recollection was that that dollar amount of $3,000 was set there just to see how that would go, if it was appropriate or not. So I'm asking to move 2,000 from the equipment fund because I've gone through quite a bit of that amount that was allocated, and it's primarily because in the first quarter just of this year, I mean, our call volume, our death investigations was up about 45% versus the first quarter of last year. So consequently, that's just added more work, more paperwork, more clerical work. So I don't think I'm gonna need that equipment fund money. So that's why I'm asking if I can move that over.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that should take care of anybody on our transfer list. Do I have any discussion on this? Any motions?
I'll move to approve resolution number 2025 HCCR 14 transfers as read and written.
All right. Motion's been properly made by Councilwoman Lake and seconded by Councilman Cuthbert. All those in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Transfers carry. All right, next item will be the salary ordinance amendments.
Ordinance number 2025-HCCO-25, salary ordinance amendments. An ordinance amending and increasing staffing and salary authorization to be paid county employees for the calendar year effective January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2025, as originally approved for the year 2025, except where otherwise noted. Be it ordained by the Council of Howard County, Indiana, that the said fiscal year, the following salary amendments are approved as additional changes to the basic salary ordinance for the same fiscal year. Necessary personal services appropriations have been approved previously to support the required expenditure for necessary funds. County General Fund prosecutor, deputy prosecutor, 0. Deputy prosecutor part-time, $169,275. Investigator full-time, $53,585. Criminal enforcement clerk, $41,521. FICA, $20,000. PERF, $38,000. Coroner, part-time hourly, $2,000. Lit Special Purpose Fund, FICA, $191.25. Employee service bonus, $2,500.
All right, thank you very much. Is there any discussion or comments on the salary ordinance amendment as read?
So those salaries reflect the numbers that Brian recommended.
Yes.
Those are quick calculations.
All right, anybody want to make a motion on this?
I move we approve the salary ordinance amendments as presented.
Second.
All right. Motion has been properly made and seconded by Councilman Faulkner and Councilman Sanders. All those in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Salary ordinance amendment carries. All right, is there any old business tonight? None, okay. Any new business?
I have the approval of county abatements. We have 2025 paid 2026 Form CF1 for MB Real Estate Leasing LLC. and 2025 pay 2026 form, CF1 Merrill Brothers, Inc.
Do these need to have a motion for each, or can you do like a blanket?
I think you can take them together.
Okay, all right. All right, so do we have any discussion on the county abatements for MB Real Estate Leasing LLC or Merrill Brothers, Inc.? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion.
I move we approve these abatements as presented.
Second,
They're a continuation of the current abatements, right?
Sure, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And they are, I believe, they committed to so many new employees, and I believe they're keeping up with the standards that they started when they started this abatement process, so they're good.
All right, motion has been properly made and seconded by Councilman Faulkner and Councilwoman Lake. All those in favor of approving these abatements, assign aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, the abatements carry.
I also have the appointments from the assessor for the PETA BOA Board, and she has asked to reappoint Susie Woolley and Sheila Pullen.
Okay. Do we have any discussion on these appointments or reappointments to the PETA BOA Board? Motions?
Move to approve the appointments presented by the assessor.
Second.
Motion's been properly made and seconded by Councilman Alexander and Councilman Cuthbert. All those in favor of reappointment, assign aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. PETA BOA Board is reaffirmed. Anything else, Madam Auditor?
Nothing else.
Okay, one other point of council business. So we are, have proposed changing our budget session workshops to Wednesday, August 20th and Thursday, August 21st, starting at 8:30. And we have discussed it as a council. We just need to have someone formally make a motion and second this so that we can get this into the public record, so it's noted for our actual workshop presentations.
I move we change the dates as presented.
Second.
Right, the meeting schedule has been properly motion made by Councilman Sanders and seconded by Councilman Faulkner. All those in favor of approving the meeting schedule, sign aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right. And then I guess one thing I will say is, we kind of touched on it earlier, but Frank and Martha and John and I attended the AIC State Called meeting on Friday afternoon and Saturday, so we got to see some old friends and talk to some new friends from different counties and learn about things going on at the state level that affect us. And so I appreciate everybody going down to that and taking time to learn, and as we enter in this difficult budget season coming up.
I'd just like to say the attorney for IACC did, I thought, a terrific job of going through some of the key points of the legislative things that passed and some of the things that didn't pass. And I just thought, first off, Jessica, thanks for paying my tuition to
Absolutely.
help get educated, and appreciate the opportunity to go.
It was a good session, it really was. And I think I felt better because everybody's in a learning phase now, not just us, but the leaders are trying to be sure that they're telling us correctly as well. It was a good 2 days.
Okay. Anybody else have something they want to bring? All right. Our next regular scheduled meeting will be July 22nd, right here at 4 o'clock. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Anybody?
Second.
All right, motion to adjourn has been made by Councilwoman Lake and seconded by Councilman Cuthbert. All those in favor of adjournment, assign aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.